isn't just us. This is something that every single school district across the state is currently struggling with, are the changes in ESSA, most students succeed at, and DCYF placements. And we're finding larger percentage of students are being placed by DCYF in North Smithfield, for which we incur ownership for the education. Now, we have taken legal action in some instances to really hone in on who is responsible for the education. We would love to be responsible for the education for all students, but sometimes when you get into these high-cost, situations, we really have to look for relief. We have to look to split with other districts, because there is no mechanism in the state for highly transient students who are placed by DCYF in various communities. Right. So, and I should tell you, there is legislation, there's movement on the Rhode Island Superintendent side to get some rules around ESSA. There's legislation that we're looking at from the Rhode Island Superintendents Association to get some better rules of engagement for out-of-district tuitions. So for example, like in CTEs, right now, any student can attend any public high school that they want, regardless of whether or not we're offering the same program. That's one of the things we're looking to change. So if a student in North Smithfield wants to go to Pontiac to do music, well, we have a great music program at CTE, we should be able to say no. The rules are, as they, right now, we cannot. All right, so we're looking to bring some order to this. The other thing is that we've set up, and I mentioned this before, an agreement for the Northwest Consortium, which is North Smithfield, Smithfield, Burrillville, Lincoln, and Cumberland, that if any of the students in our 5 communities want to attend a CTE program in any of our 5 communities, we're just charging them a flat $5,000 tuition and not looking to break at each other's backs. You know, we're providing regional opportunities at a fair price, and which is actually the Massachusetts model. We've adopted Massachusetts model, and we've been trying to promote it for Rhode Island and showing them that, hey, look, there's 5 communities, we got together, and we came up with an agreement to continue education, but also to do it at a rate that isn't going to break each other's budgets. So the other change, too, is that under special ed, the maximum age for the state was 21 years. So when we would be responsible for education for a high need special ed student until the age of 21. That changed a month ago, and it's now to 22. All right, so it's not, the federal guidance was through 21, whereas Rhode Island was to 21. So Rhode Island just switched to go with the federal guidance of through 21 to 22. We have a student who we budgeted was turning 21, who is very unique. But we have to retain it, and it's not budgeted. So the fiscal impact, and I'm telling you this because our numbers translate into dollars. The students who leave affect the students who stay. That for last year, fiscal 18, our charters and vocational schools, we paid $615,000 in tuition. For special ed placements, we paid $965,000 in tuition. So that's $1.5 million for the 99 to 100 students or so. And that last year was 6.25% of our budget, because our special ed costs have gone up, because our out-of-district CTEs, career and tech costs have gone up. We're looking at about 7% of our budget right now is in out-of-district tuitions. So, the good news, though, is that when Lisa put this spreadsheet together, she also put in, for fiscal 19, our grade 12 graduates. We have a lot of students who are in the outplace programs that will be graduating. The trick is not to fill their spots with new incoming kids. And that's when it gets into the promotion and the marketing, and we have our CTEs, and get the word out on what our high school is doing. Also, with the high-cost special ed, where we're looking at each other's districts to become magnet. These are ideas being floated. We're looking at other models and alternatives within, like, for example, our five-district region. We have a student right now that would have cost about $120,000 to go to meetings in the school, that Smithfield has a program to accommodate this student, and we're paying a fraction of that to send the student to Smithfield. So we're looking at each other to help each other, to bring the cost down, to reduce the amount of travel time for students for programs that we can't float, and work regionally. So again, all of this work is behind the scenes, and I'm hoping that we will be able to announce and promote some really good change in this area.
Superintendent,
Yep.
for the next meeting, would you be able to put together a plan, marketing plan, to make sure our students don't leave maybe for 5,000, 10,000? That give us degrees. This is what I can do for 2, this is what I can do for 5, this is what I can do for 10. Is that something that we want to hear? So, including if you have to retain somebody on the outside, let's hear some options here, because as we lose students, unfortunately, we'll have to go to the town, taxpayers. I think it's worth spending a small amount of money, just even if to see what happens. We can, if it works, spend more money. If it doesn't work, we're not out that much money.
And I can tell you that there are districts around us that have already done that. They've gone out to professional agencies, and I am very sensitive on the price, and I'd like to try to do as much in-house as possible, but when it gets to a point where, well, and here's the thing. If we bring in one student from another community into our CTE, we've just paid for that marketing.
Right.
And we don't have anybody yet in our CTE programs from outside of Fort Smithfield. We have had a number of inquiries. Unfortunately, the kids that have inquired are already juniors. We really need freshman, sophomore. So we're going for 8th and 9th graders this year.
Mr. St. Jean, do you mind
Yep.
if I add that?
Please.
It was 2 weeks ago that we actually got our final approval. So as of 2 weeks ago, we have 3 fully certified CTEs by the Department of Education in music, business, and pre-engineering. And the approval lasts for 5 years. So it's brand new that we got our full.
So even the junior who was inquiring, I take it that didn't go through. Do you ask why? I was just curious. Is there any feedback that you're able to obtain from potential interested applicants as to why they've declined coming to our CTE program?
We actually couldn't accept a junior into the program because the CTE requirements are 3 consecutive or sequential courses in their 3 full year courses, and the student who was inquiring actually just recently in a year and a half's time wouldn't be able to actually complete the CTE.
And then in addition, I support what you were saying about trying to, go out and see what marketing, what we could get for our dollar based on different ranges of marketing. But also, if you could notate for us too, what measures you take when a student of ours is thinking about jumping ship. What do we do?
Yeah.
Do we talk to the student? Do we talk to the parents? Do we ask why?
We do.
Is there, so like, is there any, I know you mentioned this before that you do, but maybe, kind of outline a little more in detail what it is that they're being attracted to outside of North Smithfield. And, I mean, sometimes I know probably we won't be able to offer.
I'll tell you, and this comes not from just me, but pretty much every superintendent in the state, is that often it's for social reasons. They want to play on the volleyball team. They want, their boyfriend is over at that school.
And I heard through the grapevine that sports is playing a big part of this. And I don't know, what the interscholastically can do about it, if they can, or what involvement they have in it, but this definitely opens up the door to recruitment.
It does.
And
We need to recruit harder.
but how you can't recruit harder if a child wants to play Division I football?
Oh, yeah, well, we're not going to match that.
We can't do anything about that. And these kids are looking for scholarships, and they want to play on Division I teams.
Well, and there are things, again, this actually leads into my next section on communication outlines for the district, is to streamline our message, make it easier for parents and folks from the community to get the information they need, but also become more proactive in sharing our story. For example, you said scholarships. Our kids collect a lot of money in scholarships. I mean, the North Smithfield High School diploma is highly thought of, and it's ranked very high by universities. And our tiny graduating class raked in some serious money in scholarships. The other thing, too, is that you mentioned athletics. We may not be top division, but you know what? Our kids can shine. They can be seen. They can excel. There is a power and a strength to having a smaller, personalized school. And the other thing I'd like to try to get more information out for parents anyway, because myself, I went through with my kids, how do we pay for college? And my kids graduated Cranston East and brought in some amazing scholarship money, which I had no idea was even possible. They got merit scholarships, and it was built in. And it wasn't driven by financial need. It wasn't driven by athletics. It was just because they were decent kids who had a good transcript and a lot of volunteer hours. And the schools that they applied to, they got some good money. So my daughter at Simmons, $16,500 a year, and my son to Eastern Connecticut State was $6,000. He's not even a Connecticut resident, and he got scholarship money. He graduated in the middle of the pack. He took a lot of just college prep classes. He's an average kid, and he got some good scholarship money. So that is also a consideration for parents, is that, first of all, we're coming from a really good high school with a lot of opportunities to fill a student's transcript and resume out application to a college. Our kids will get money. Anyway, so just the next piece on you have a copy of this. This is streamlining our communications, the systems that we have in place. I'm not going to go through it line by line. You have a copy of it. I did post it yesterday on Facebook for input by parents and community. and I've received some suggestions, some points of clarification. So I just want you to know that what we're trying to do is make it easier to get information out, create areas for one-stop shopping, and to keep things more consistent. All right, and there's a number of different initiatives wrapped up into this. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions on the communication piece. Okay. And the last section, this was also in your packet. This is the preliminary information for the transition from Hallowell to NSES and Hallowell to the middle school. And what we did is break down a number of topics and just included some information. Now, keep in mind, this is basic information right now. I would like Mr. Lahar and Mrs. Dano next school committee meeting, so you can hear directly from the principals of what we're planning at each of the schools. There will be parent orientations that are going to start not in April or May. It's going to start in January and February. And so we're going to bring everybody in and make it very clear what we're looking for, what we're anticipating, and hear their concerns and respond accordingly. So just a couple of pieces. So the implementation piece, we will have the parent orientations. And right now, they're working between both schools. So we have our middle school administrators going over to Hallowell to get to know the kids and the teachers that will come over here. And at the elementary school, we have the assistant principal over at Hallowell, the principal at SES. And they're swapping. They're running both buildings like a campus of the same building. So the integration will be much tighter and an easy transfer. Organizationally, they will be organized into small learning communities. Over at NSES, first grade will be together, second grade together, third grade together, and so on. Here at the middle school, fifth grade will be together, sixth grade will be together, seventh and eighth. On the scheduling side, here at the middle school, because that's one of the concerns, our middle school kids, when they go to their PE or art or whatever, they're not going to be in mixed grade levels. They will be in their own grade levels. When they go to lunch, they will be at lunch in their own grade level. Right? So we're going to have a school-wide community. However, there will be small learning communities within that. Lunch and recess. Now, lunch will have to go from 3 to 4 lunches here in this building. And we've worked in some flex time so that the time is going to be used adequately and wisely. One of the things that there is not recess at the middle school, and that was a question for a lot of the 4th and 5th grade parents, students who will be coming over. Middle school does not do recess. It's not required by the state. However, there is a recognition that kids need, our 5th graders here, need unstructured playtime. What they do have is PE every day. And during the PE block, we can accommodate unstructured playtime. Likewise, there is flexible time built in the day for the classroom teachers, the grade 5 or 6 classroom teachers, and they can also provide some unstructured playtime. So we can build in a recess-like situation without calling it recess. Transportation. We do have a meeting coming up with DACO. We've started looking at the busing and the capacity on each of the buses. And what we're proposing at this stage, at this point, is that the 5th graders ride the bus with the 6th graders to 12th graders. Now, some of the issues that brings up and what we're looking at. Well, first of all, the numbers balance across the buses, so we don't have to add another bus or two otherwise. We can still balance the numbers. We're looking at having the first half part of the bus be assigned seatings for grade 5 and 6 students, right? So that the younger kids will sit in the front of the bus. Now, as far as the ridership of the bus, we don't have many high school kids that ride the bus. They drive, their friends drive. However, the high school kids that we do have ride the bus, we're looking at setting up things like calling it bus time, where you have students who are national merit, honor society people, kids. They need to get some community service hours. They can get community service hours by being a bus buddy and being with a group of fifth graders, and just sort of be a liaison and help them out and keep an eye on them. Sort of like babysitting on the bus. We also have the ability to put cameras on all the buses. So there are a number of measures that we can put in, things that we can put in place that would hopefully settle some of the nerves of some of the fifth grade parents or sixth grade parents. It will be a very controlled environment. We're also looking at some, and I'm not ready to share all this yet, we're looking at making some changes with scheduling and maybe start the day later. Because we've dropped the Halliwell drop-off. We've just gained time in the morning. Do we have to start when everything is pitch black outside, or can we slide the start time back for students so that when the 5th, 6th, 7th graders are at the bus stop, it's not necessarily pitch black? So again, these are things that we're looking at, and we're going to have more detail as we move forward. We're looking at some modifications to the traffic flow at the schools. So we've already started mapping out at NSCS a separate parent drop-off loop. And I have a map here of a potential drop-off loop for the middle school. So right now, the middle school, they sort of